What's up? Esteban here. We'll be talking about biodiversity. What is it and why is it important? So, biodiversity is a variety of Earth's species, what types of animals they are. For example, dogs, they're a type of canines. There's different dogs but they're the same species. Same with cats, lions, tigers, cheetahs, all those. Same species but different types. There's different subsections of biodiversity. For example, genetic, species, ecosystem, and functional diversities. We will be talking about species diversity. Every organism is a type of species. For example, we are Homo sapiens, and dogs or wolves are canine. Scientists estimate there's from 10 to 100 million different species, and only 1.9 are known to humans. Most of them are insects and plants. About half of the world's species are in the rainforest. Rainforests are very species-rich areas. Species richness is how many different species there are in that ecosystem. If an ecosystem is more species-rich, it usually is more productive and sustainable, while a less species-rich system is usually less productive and sustainable. Each species has a role. These are called ecological niches, which is what it feeds on, what it feeds, where it lives, and how much space it takes. Scientists use their ecological niche to specify if they are a generalist or specialist species. What are these two, you might ask? Generalist species are species that eat a wide variety of food and can live in a wide variety of environmental conditions, such as cockroaches. They can eat pretty much anything and live pretty much anywhere. Those are the generalist species. Specialists are ones that are the opposite of generalist. They eat one or few foods and live in only a few habitats or environmental conditions, like penguins and polar bears. Now, aside from the ecological niches, there are 5 roles. One is native. They already live there. Another one is non-native species or invasive or aliens, which migrate from another ecosystem, usually by humans transfer, on purpose or not on purpose. There's also indicator species, which warn when there is damage being done to the ecosystem. For example, birds and butterflies. Their population drops when something is going wrong. There's keystone species which perform a population check, such as lions, wolves, and leopards. And there is a founding species, which is the base of the ecosystem. For example, beavers are an essential part to that ecosystem. Now, we're going to talk about evolution, which is a theory that explains how life on Earth changes over time through changes in the genes of population. Pretty much how we got from monkeys to humans. Now, there are 3 steps to evolution. Step 1, mutation. When an offspring's gene is different, this happens randomly. Step 2, natural selection. Do those genes survive? If they do, it's called adaptation, which is a trait that improves survivability. Step 3, differential reproduction, which is when the mutated gene transfers through reproduction. Climate change affects evolution. This is because different traits are selected for different weathers during natural selection. For example, more furs in cold climates. The climate's constantly changing because the plates are constantly moving. Sometimes the weather changes faster than the species can evolve. Therefore, the species become extinct. Now, let's talk about speciation, which is when a population of species can't reproduce with its other members anymore. This can happen in 2 ways. One is geographic isolation, which is when species separate, and this causes a different selection of attributes or genes. The second way is reproductive isolation, which is when a smaller group separates from a bigger group, and they don't reproduce for long enough that that smaller group cannot reproduce with that bigger group anymore. During this process, extinction happens for many species. Extinction is when a biological species stops existing. It can happen in local extinction, which is over a large area but not globally, or it can happen globally, which is over the whole world. Extinction occurs when the weather is changing too fast or humans destroy the species' habitats. Now, at this point, the species has three options. One is to adapt to the conditions, two is to move out of there and migrate, or three is to just become extinct. The species most vulnerable to extinction are the endemic species, which are species that live on an island or a single environment, which is the same situation as the deer on the island that Mr. C taught us, that they couldn't migrate even though they ran out of food because they were on an island. Species are constantly becoming extinct, but it is called background extinction, which occurs at a much slower rate. The rate is about 5 species per 1 million on Earth. Mass extinction, on the other hand, occurs at a much higher rate. An example of it is when the dinosaurs became extinct. Alright guys, now that you know everything about evolution and biodiversity, here's a task. Write an essay or a story of any species going through evolution until extinction and all the possibilities that could happen in between and affect the process. Alright Mr. C and everyone else, hope you enjoyed and thanks for watching. See ya.